How best to choose a place to live in Japan. Let's do it. This video is going to be a little bit boring, but I promise it's going to be information packed. So if you plan to live in Japan and you're a little bit stuck of how to go about finding the right area and possibly the right house in the right area, I'm going to shed a little bit of light on it. If you were just going on websites looking at houses that you like, you're just going to be stuck. There's 11 million houses for sale here in Japan, and probably 2 million of them you like, and you're just going to be spinning your wheels. So here's how I narrow it down. So this is a story of the way that I found my village and the strategy that I used. And if you don't have some sort of strategy, you're never going to be able to narrow down what you want to do, and you're just going to waste a lot of time. And I've found that the best way to go about this is transport links, and I'll explain why. And here we are. Here's the map of Japan, and this is how I did it. I chose which area of Japan I wanted to live in, and in my case I chose Nagano, which is here. Okay, so that's Nagano City. So I followed here the Shinkansen rail. Comes out. So here we've got a number of cities, smaller cities. We've got Ueda, which is a population center. So there we are. And I just drew a ring, 30-centimeter ring around the main Shinkansen stop, where the terminal is, in the middle of town here. And then I went out and I explored these little areas. Got some information, went further up, and these are the little villages coming here off the main population centers. So here we have Nagano City, which is the main city in Nagano. And here we have these villages. They're generally one way in. They're nice and picturesque. So here's my little village coming off here. So here we got the main, we've got the Shinkansen stops. I've drawn my ring around, and here here's my village here. So what you have is you have the benefits of large population centers. You're 30 minutes out of town. You've got the rural lifestyle. You've got cheaper properties as well, and usually a bigger choice of property as well. So you'll find more kaminkas and things like this in these places. Here's another little village coming off here. So Nagano's got quite a few. Down here, this is all 30 minutes from this major city. So you got the main one here, and you got another one down here called Ueda. So this sort of place has two main population centers, so that's good for hospitality business. You can go further up following the Shinkansen line here. These other places. So now you're getting out further for an hour but you just don't have the local population centers. If you went further north, heading into sort of the Niigata area, know where your stops are, you've got a decent population center. That's just too far north that I wanted to go, or my wife especially. It's a bit too cold. So that's how I did it. I just followed the line. Now, if you don't like the colder areas, I'll show you what you would do down south. Japan's a small country and there's 120 million people. The land area is not that big, but to find a place to live that's going to suit what you need to do, and if you're having a small business, is not easy. And so many foreigners come here and they buy places based on a house, and this is because they watch all this IKEA buying shills, and they end up coming to Japan. They buy in the wrong areas, they just buy a house, and they end up abandoning it. And there's so many on the internet that have done this, foreigners, and it's because they don't have a strategy. So let's continue on. So further down the road here, I'm just going to stop and I'm just going to show you something. So straight ahead, that's a new motorway that was built, and that replaced the old freeway. And I took a drive along the old freeway before this one was built. It's still there, and it's just lined with motels and hotels that are just abandoned. And when I say lined, I'm talking over 100, just within 100-kilometer distance. So this motorway, when it was built, and it's a toll motorway, the freeway is not a toll, this one's a toll motorway, and it's quite expensive, but it's totally killed all the tourist traffic for all the tourist businesses that existed along the freeway, and it's just absolute carnage. So just this little change of a motorway being built destroyed all those businesses, and people were holidaying up in the snowfields and staying at all these places, and now these businesses are done. And this is just because of one change of the motorway. And if you have a look at my village, this is at the bottom of my village. There's an off-ramp that's being built just down here. So there's an off-ramp, and that means that more people will be moving into the area where I am. So that means that there'll be more local customers for your business. So I knew that there was a possibility that a new INTA, it's called an INTA whenever there's an on and off ramp, toll booth, could be built, and it was just a possibility. And that's just a bonus things to look out for. If there's something in the pipeline that's going to benefit the area where you plan to live, don't disregard it, because that can really help you out. And also, if there's an infrastructure project in the pipeline that may affect wherever you want to live, that's also going to affect you negatively, so you really need to get on top of this. So here we have Japan again. Let's say you wanted to come right down south here. This is how I would attack this problem, wanting a business. Here we have the Shinkansen line. I'd follow this down, and I would use the same formula. Wherever there's a stop, half an hour around, I would look for little villages. And the Shinkansen seems to be going all the way down here. This is a good option from this city. So you have these little hamlets or villages coming off, similar to where I am. Further south, keep following the line. This might be coming into a local train, I'm not quite sure. and just draw your 30 minutes around, and you'll see that there's little townships and villages. Keep following the Shinkansen. Now we've got another population center. This looks like a harbour terminus type place. So out in here you'd probably find some really nice villages away from the population centres. Now going down further south, you just don't have the population down here, which will make business quite difficult, but it does look like you've got heavy traffic here with boats, and I assume that would be maritime traffic. Let's have a look. Let's see where this is going. Okay, so these are vehicular ferries, looks like, coming out to these islands, which aren't very well populated. So if I were to choose down here, I would be concentrating more around here. Villages coming off around here. And possibly up here. That's how I would attack the problem. And I would contact all the local councils around the area I chose. So if I wanted to live here on this island, I would choose 3, 1, 2, possibly down here, 3, and I would find if I could speak to an ex-businessman, if they can put me into contact with anybody, and if 2 are receptive, I would go with them. If the third one's not, I would just disregard. That generally means their local council doesn't have it together as much, so you would have a better chance to go with the other people that answered your emails. I'd get all the information around, I'd study all the businesses around, I would come over, stay somewhere nearby, do all my research, talk to people. If I had a lot of time, I'd even stay for a month or 2. Now there's programs in Japan run by local councils where you can stay for up to 6 weeks, and you just pay a small monthly fee to stay in these rural areas, and you can get a feel for it. So they're everywhere in Japan, and I'll talk about this now. So before that, if you just notice here on the map, here we are. This is one of the islands that are struggling the most, and you notice they don't have a Shinkansen stop. Shinkansen's not coming through, and that's one of the reasons. And it's not because this place isn't any good. It's got a few negatives. It's quite mountainous. Population centers are along the coast here, and it doesn't look as heavily populated, but you really need to stick with the Shinkansen is where it's at. So here we have the Shinkansen. It's just totally bypassing all this areas here, and that's why economically they've suffered the most. Further up north, let's have a look at the Shinkansen. Okay, Shinkansen coming up. Same deal. Study your Shinkansen stops. A reasonable sized population center, your 30-minute ring, and you'll find little villages out here. And these are the gems to live in. And if it's one way in and one way out, even better. Another population center. Yep, coming out sort of here, very picturesque, just outside the cities. Here's your Shinkansen line. This is how I would attack it. So if you like this area, for example, that's how I would do it. Straight up along Shinkansen. I would totally avoid these areas out here. There's the transport links will hurt you. And they'll be losing population, not gaining. On the same token, if that's what you like, a more quieter life, just look further out from the Shinkansen. So up along here. So guys, you get the drift. So I've just typed in Kanazawa here, and it's given me this area. So if I picked Kanazawa, I would go along here, find your Shinkansen stops if they're there, and I'd start looking out along here. These little townships. So again, this is the magic line. So yep, once you go too far out, it's just so much more difficult. Going further south from Kanazawa, same deal. There's probably some really great places, townships along here, out in these sort of areas. That's where you get good value for your money. Really picturesque. This looks like a nice village. Plenty of rice fields and agriculture going on, but you've still got a decent population center, and you've got the Shinkansen. So if that's the area of Japan you like, this would be quite a good option. If you wanted to live up here, up the top of the main island here, this is how I would tackle it. I'd find the Shinkansen again and just follow it. Okay, we've got one coming out here. Okay, that's not going further north. We've got one, keep coming. Okay, so here we are up the north. Here, it looks like a decent population centers around here. Do the same thing, get your 30 minutes from your stops. Let's keep going around. We've got another population center here. So even going out in between here would be a great place, because you've also got another population center here. So two population centers, villages around here. That would be a really good strategic place to have a business. If you have low capital like I have, I would be looking in little townships around here. I'd be looking right in here. If that was my area of choice, up north of Japan. But I wouldn't go too far from this magic Shinkansen line. So you'll have traffic coming from Hokkaido. This would be a nice day trip possibly for them. So I'm not sure of the data of arrivals coming in here, but I think could be quite good. You'd get people coming from that island coming over here to bring goods over, or possibly by car as well. Be interesting place to check out. So this would be your local trade, your locals. So this is just a quick overview of the importance of the Shinkansen in my view. So I'll put this link down below. Now this is a very important map you need to know. This is all the Shinkansens in Japan. These dotted one here, that's one that's planned, and it's got the dates here, the years. And further down, same thing. All the ones that are planned, it's got your timings. So these are between major cities as well. So this is not something that's stagnant. There's plans rolling out everywhere of where extra lines will be put, and you can make your decisions based on your own analysis of certain things. But just remember, when money's being spent on infrastructure, such as this in Shinkansen, some places will be winners and some places will be losers. So you need to know this. And these resources will help you. So I'll put this link up down below, and you can have a look. Also here, these are the airports in Japan. This is also something that you must consider, and there's the link there. Everybody's going to have their own criteria of what they want out of a house and location where they want to live in Japan. But the number one thing you really should consider is transportation links. Everything is downstream from this. If you have a business, if people can't get to your business, you don't have a business. If you study the Japanese thinking on distance, so they come from a country that's very small, so it's not like Australia or America. To travel 1 hour to go somewhere is a big deal for them. Driving 1 hour for an Australian is just like going down the shops, and same for an American. Our concept of distance is totally different to theirs. They've grown up in a smaller country that has more conveniences, that has better transport links. They're better trained using public transport. It would be almost impossible to get most Americans to use public transport. They like their cars, they don't mind driving. Australians are very similar, but it's just not the case here, and that's not going to change. So if you come with the mentality that you can set up somewhere from a different population center, and people will come for a 1 hour drive, you're totally mistaken. It's just not going to happen. For those who want a quieter life, once you go an hour from a Shinkansen stop, you pretty much got zero risk that your area is going to change too much. So that's a positive for you, and that's because of the transport links. So it can be a positive or a negative depending on what you want to do. And knowing how the Japanese think about distance and about convenience, this is going to help you decide where you want to live. So I promised a boring video with a bit of information for you, good information. So hopefully I've provided that. This is just on one aspect of buying a house and setting up here in Japan, and possibly a business as well, is transportation links. And this is the big one that foreigners always miss. They really don't grasp just how important it is, and this is why the failure rates with foreigners in rural areas is so high.
Let's go walk home.